Welcome to another edition of Northern Heat. My name is Bob Lennon, President of Thermalwood Canada and host for the show. And our really special guest today, Dr. Jennifer Russell. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Bob.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well.
Good. So we're in Fredericton. It's Harvest Jazz and Blues, and we had this opportunity to come down and do an interview. We tried to do this last year, but it didn't work out on your schedule. So my first question to you is tell us a little bit about your story. Who are you?
Well, born and raised in Bathurst, New Brunswick. So
that's the part I like.
Yeah. So obviously two hardworking parents. My mom worked at the paper mill. My dad worked at the mine and instilled a strong work ethic in me. And they were also instrumental in making sure I learned French. So and music, actually. So all the gifts they gave me growing up were kind of instrumental in shaping who I am today.
There we go. Did you spend, I don't know, I didn't read your bio, but did you spend some time in the military too?
I did, yes. And my parents, at the time, I don't think they were keen on that, but they supported me anyway, because their daughter, they didn't want their daughter going into the Army necessarily, but it was a great opportunity. And I always love to be challenged because, I would get bored otherwise. So I have to have something to challenge me, to keep me interested and excited. And the military was one of those opportunities. Paid my way through med school. So came out of med school with no debt. Did basic training at the age of 31, climbing over those 12-foot walls.
That must have been fun.
Yeah, you're kind of more aware of your mortality at that time. And no, it was a really great experience. So, and I think, that was a big component of shaping who I am today too.
So did you have to go any other country, or were you able to stay here in Canada while you were in the military?
Most of my time was spent in Ottawa. However, I did get sent to Camp Mirage, which was in Dubai at the time, which was the staging base for all the air crew and aircraft that were doing round trips to Kandahar every day during the war in Afghanistan.
Well, we won't get into the topic of war or anything like that. It's not part of the plan, but thank you very much for your service too. So, you've got a kind of a big job, right, with the province of New Brunswick as the chief medical examiner and
chief medical officer. Yeah, I think examiner is more like when like coroner kind of stuff.
Okay, no, we don't want to go there. Okay, so in that's a pretty busy role, but you've got hobbies on the side that ties into a little bit with Harvest. So tell us a little bit about your musical history and what's your story around that?
Well, as I mentioned, my parents were very keen and supportive of me doing music when I was younger. So piano lessons from the age of 9. And then there was a school band program that was introduced to the province's schools when I was in grade 8. So I started playing the saxophone then. And really always loved music and loved listening to music, loved playing music. Picking up the saxophone at that age, I got to play in concert bands and jazz bands. And some of the music that I was listening to and playing was kind of the Glenn Miller World War II style.
Oh, yeah,
music.
okay.
And so I always loved that style, but I love many, many styles of music. So after that, I ended up studying music at Dal. And then always kept my hand in it. When I was studying science, I went to UNB for my science degree and played in the concert band here and a saxophone quartet. Then I went to med school in Memorial in Newfoundland, and there was a jazz band that was made up entirely of medical students. And at one point, I wondered facetiously that, do they, when they're looking at the applicants coming in, are they saying, well, we're missing a keyboard player now because that person just graduated, or we're missing a sax player. So, because we always had the right number of people and the right musicians and the right instruments. So that was a positive experience. And then when I moved to Fredericton in 2006, I had been here off and on from the early 90s, but in 2006 is when I moved here permanently. Started playing in a cover band after doing some fundraising for the Stan Cassidy Rehab Center. And I'm sure you may or may not know the background of my brother's story, but he had been in a car accident when he was in high school, became a quadriplegic, and ended up spending 6 months in the Stan Cassidy Rehab Center, which used to be on Forest Hills. It was called the Forest Hill Rehab Center. And then it moved to a new facility right next to the Dr. Everett Chalmers Hospital. And when I was getting out of the military, I was really keen to do fundraising and give back to the community. And I was inspired by the fundraising I saw happening at Memorial University in Newfoundland, because some of my professors were musicians, and they would do these variety shows featuring doctors and specialists and neurologists and family doctors, and it was a hoot. So every year they would pick a different charity, do this fundraising event, and it was a lot of fun. So that inspired me to do the fundraisers here for Stan Cassidy Rehab Center. And it was through that I ended up getting together with some meeting musicians at that time, that we then formed a cover band called Vinyl to Bits. And that band played lots of shows all around the province for several years. And then at one point, they really wanted to play at Harvest. And they thought, we're not going to get a chance to play at Harvest unless we have some original tunes. And they knew I had written some music, and they said, Jen, you could write some songs for us. And we were playing a lot of swing music at the time. So they said, write us a couple of swing tunes. And so I did. And then I ended up recording them. And then one thing led to another. And 2 CDs later, I'm on iTunes and Spotify. And it's all, it's this great collection of original tunes, big band sound. In fact, the first CD has horns in it. The second CD has horns and strings. So a little bit more orchestral feeling. And mostly blues and jazz and swing, but a couple of other little genres thrown in there as well.
Well, you're talking about big band and swing. And last week I interviewed a gentleman from Bathurst that's organizing an event here in a couple of weeks.
I heard about that.
Where that's kind of interesting, because they're inviting musicians in from all around that have never played together.
That's cool.
And then they get them to put them together, and in 3 days they have a show.
Cool.
Public.
Yes.
So, and then they got swing dancers and stuff.
Yes.
So that's going to be interesting to see how they do that. And they're pulling from all around Atlantic Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Are you
amazing.
going?
I'm not. I'm actually, I have a little vacation planned, and so I'm traveling outside the country, so I won't be able to be there. But that swing group is very, very popular. There's people from St. John, Moncton, Fredericton, and Halifax. I don't know if they reached out to the Halifax folks, but the Jen Russell Band, when we launched my first CD in 2014, we actually went to Halifax to play for the swing dancing group there. Okay. And then I've played several times for the swing dancing group here in Fredericton, and lots of fun.
Well, a lot of people see public figures, and it's not like you're allergic to TV, because we did see you for quite a while every single day, but they see you as that public figure all the time, but don't understand the things that are going on behind. So it's interesting, and thank you for sharing those stories with us. I do have one last question, because you're very instrumental, as I told you before, of creating this population boom and explosion in the Maritimes, and for how we handled, and I say we had nothing to do with it, but the province and the people here helped mold this place so people would be attracted to it. So what is it that's so special about New Brunswickers that you think that's attracting people here?
Well, I think you nailed it on the head, that the collectiveness of the people and their attitude and their genuine love for other people and for the province, I think is what during the pandemic, I think is what contributed to our success collectively. I think each and every individual didn't necessarily always see themselves as an individual. I think they really took in the fact that they were part of a community. And I think when you feel those strong connections, I think that's what makes this place so special.
Well, that's a really interesting point, and a nice one. So you're absolutely right, but the thing is too, is that, and the reason why we do a lot of these interviews is that we're not a population that boasts about what we've got, and we don't talk about our stuff. So this whole mission and objective of Northern Heat is to tell the stories. Mm-hmm. And
it's a good marketing strategy.
Well, and if it helps people see that what we've got, very best, come on over. We're ready to take them and grow and stuff. So again, thank you very much for the interview today. Congratulations, and thank you for all the work that you've done in the past.
Thank you so much, Bob.
There we are. Another edition of Northern Heat for this week, the place you come to listen to the stories that haven't been discovered yet.